Hi, everybody. I'm glad you're here to join us today. I'm Melissa Nielsen, if you don't already know me, and welcome to our live chat. So I'm not sure how long this is going to take today. I think we'll get through what I've got to talk about, and I'm hoping that you ask some great questions. You watched our live chat this morning. I was downstairs in my kitchen this morning, and now my house is cleared out and a little quieter, and because everybody's gone, except for my oldest daughter. And so now I'm actually sitting at my desk, which is where I like to sit because it makes me feel good. And so this is what I have around me. So these are my favorites. Like, this is my favorite fairy tale. So I surround myself with stuff that I love, so that when I'm working, it doesn't seem like it's hard work. So anyways, I thought I would start talking today about sort of why you need Waldorf Essentials. And so this first part is probably aimed at those who don't know a lot about us, or who might be wondering whether or not this is the right road to go down, and sort of what makes us different. And so I thought I would start talking about that, and then we'll get into the concept of holding the space, and sort of why I'm going to change that now to holding your peace. So starting with what makes us different, a lot of people, the first thing they say is, why are you so cheap? And there's that adage, you get what you pay for, but in this case, that doesn't apply. So we are inexpensive because we want you to be able to feed your family and homeschool them at the same time, and we don't think it should cost a ton of money. So that in a nutshell is sort of why we feel the way we feel about our pricing. And so when you have questions, please ask when it comes down to it. Are you sure this includes all of that? Yes, it includes all of that. So I'm going to sort of go through and talk about our products so that you can gain a better understanding of what is included, so that you feel more comfortable about things. And again, always feel like you can call, or not call, but PM me or email me and ask me a question about whether or not you're reading something right, or what things are actually included. So I'm going to start with our curriculum first, and I will start with our kindergarten curriculum, because that's generally the first step. So we have an early childhood and kindergarten curriculum, and really and truly, I'm going to say right out the gate, you don't need a curriculum for kindergarten. We wrote the curriculum for kindergarten for people who want a curriculum for kindergarten. However, it is full of 2 full years, 52 weeks apiece, of stories that I wrote. And there were stories that I wrote at a time when Sam, who's now almost 10, was in years. And so every week he was asked for new stories. So I just started writing them down. So the stories that you have in our kindergarten series, the Super Sam stories, are about Sam. Or they were about a gnome named Sam, and he has a lot of the same qualities that our Sam does. Very kind-hearted, loves animals, very willing to help. And his temperament comes out in those stories. So if you are a fan of Super Sam, then you know he loves to knit, he loves socks, he loves to be warm. There's a lot of things that revolve around food, and that is because that's where he is. Sam is a phlegmatic, and those are the things that he loves. If you're using those stories for your child, and your child is a different temperament, then feel free to sort of change them and tweak them a bit to sort of suit your child. If your child isn't all into food, then don't feel like you have to do all of the feasts that we talk about in the Super Sam stories, or definitely focus on something different within each story. So that's our early childhood and kindergarten. But what's awesome about the early childhood and kindergarten, for the price yet, you also get handwork for mom for both years. So, we take you through everything. We take you from the beginnings, from knitting, embroidery, crocheting, needle felting, so many things that you will have then under your belt when you start this journey. And we have videos on everything. We also have videos for circle time. All of the circle times are completely laid out. So everything is there for kindergarten in early childhood. And so if you've got I get this question a lot, if I have a 3-year-old or I have a 4-year-old, when should I buy? I think that it is really good because the whole front half, it's a really large curriculum. So a lot of people say, I really would rather have the print. So when it comes to the kindergarten curriculum, I would say if you've got a printer, buy the digital version and only print what you need and pop it into a binder, because it's big. It's like this thick. It's like a good 300 plus pages, and it would be a lot to sort through if you were looking at the print version. So I would say buy the digital, print what you need. The whole front end of it is all about early childhood, and we take you through the stages of early childhood. We also have our piece Before the Journey is part of that, which is a piece that I wrote several years ago to sort of address those early years, those, what do I do when they're 3 and 4 and when everybody around me is getting super academic. So those pieces are all within that early childhood and kindergarten curriculum. It is probably worth 4 times what I charge for it. So feel like when you pick that up that you are supported. All of our curriculum comes with an hour of free support. So if you get into it and you've read the whole thing and you're like, oh, I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z, drop me an email. That's what I'm here for. I wrote this to make it user-friendly for you. So when it comes to the grades, all of our grades curriculum is Steiner-based. I didn't have, when I started this journey a long time ago with my kids, my oldest is 19 and a half. When I started this journey, there was nothing. I had to go right to Steiner's work. So I had master teachers like Eric Fairman, who has guides with his notes in it, but I had to write things on my own. So I learned sort of how to do that. I looked at the school model, I looked at how it works in the school, and I pared it down for the homeschooler. So, there are cropping up here and there other consultants and people that are writing curriculum that are homeschoolers, but honestly, I'm the only one who's homeschooled the whole way through. And so I have a lot of experience when it comes to how to manage family and do homeschooling at the same time. So if those things are really important to you, then definitely consider us, for your journey. All of our curriculum up through 6th grade contain all of the lessons and the content they need. When there is a situation where we don't have the content, like for the Smith, I give you lists of things that you can use that are easy generally to get from the library, and so I'll give you usually the Steiner resource, and then also maybe a mainstream resource that's easy to pick up from the library or easy to grab on Amazon, which just about everything's easy to grab on Amazon these days. So that would be through 6th grade. 7th and up, they are turning more to guides. And so when I write the guides, I really try to make sure that you understand the lesson content, what it should include. But the child of that age is different. They're not like the child of 12. They're sort of turning this corner, and you really want to have, you really want to be able to, when at all possible, to customize it even more towards where they are and what you see them working through. And that's different for every child. I've got 3 teenagers, and each one of them has needed something different. Need me to tweak it just a little bit for them to customize them. And that's the beauty of homeschooling. That's one of the reasons why I'm at home with them, is because I can do that for them. So, if otherwise they would be in the public school. And that's one thing that I have to laugh, because my middle son ended up going to public school in 10th grade. And when I talked to him about, what things do you miss, he likes to act like he doesn't miss anything. But when we talk about it, he says, those are the things that I miss. I miss that it's from you and it's customized for me. So, think about that when you're sort of thinking about how you're going to approach those years. I think the farther, I know, the farther up you get, the more customizable it is as far as what their interests are. So I definitely work to get the content in there that Steiner recommends for those years. in the order that he recommends it, the way he recommends it, because I think that's really important and it speaks to their development. But sort of as they're getting older, there's so many of their own interests that come in that you want to really work to support that. So, being able to help them make decisions that will then maybe take them on a career path or help them find a job, and how you can sort of embody that in your schoolwork as well. So we try to do that with all of the curriculum and sort of helping you feel confident in your parenting, because I think that that's really important when it comes to this journey. We also have a ton of free resources. So we have free planning resources, and I recommend this one for moms that are just stepping into Waldorf and you need to start Monday and it's Thursday. So I have a free planning boot camp that walks you through what to do in 4 days time so that you're ready to teach. And that's not how I suggest you do your planning on a regular basis. I actually have other planning resources for that, because I don't think it's a good idea to feel shot out of a cannon when you're doing this work, because it is so inwardly centered for you to be able to bring those things out and give those to your children, that you really need to take the time with it. So we've got a planning workshop going on right now that started in March. So we are taking people through one step at a time what you can do from March all the way to when school starts in September, so that you have every piece in place. So if you're listening and you're not part of that, and you're not a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member already, then drop me a note and let me help you with that, because this, I think, is super important, and you're not too far behind, because we're just getting to the end of April. So we also have, if rhythm is a real struggle for you, we have a free rhythm course, the Rhythm Roundup, and that I believe you work it the way it was intended, the exact way I've laid it out, you will not struggle with rhythm so much, because you'll be able to come back and go, okay, this isn't working, and be able to sort of back up and see those spots that you need to fix. And until you can really take a good, candid look at your rhythm, you'll be struggling with this one. And so, when I wrote the Rhythm Roundup boot camp, it was because I know what it's like to be there. I know what it's like to go, what in the heck am I going to do next? Or these kids are out of control. How am I going to fix this? So really, the Rhythm Roundup boot camp, if you would work it, it's laid out to go for a month. If you would work each step the way I suggest, you will have huge success with your rhythm. You'll be able to see those pitfalls before they get there, or you'll be able to know, okay, next week is a birthday week, so how am I going to sort of alter that a little bit. And like for us, birthdays are big here. Mine and Eric's not so much, but definitely for the kids, I'm always trying to make it as strong and fun as I can, as magical as I can. So like this week is Soraya's birthday. We're taking 2 days off. And sort of my kids laugh when they go, yeah, you go to public school and you may get through all these things, but I get to have my birthday off. And so it was always, with my big kids, it was always man, my birthday falls on a Sunday this year. They're always way frustrated when that happened, but they love it when they get their birthday off in the middle of the week, because everybody takes off and we have a good time. So, with rhythm, it allows you to be able to look ahead and see what's coming, and then be able to sort of make little tweaks here and there to the week you're in, because you know what's coming up. And so I really sort of teach you how to do that. And I talked about that a little bit this morning in the other live broadcast that we did. So that's sort of my thoughts on rhythm. Like I said, we have a lot of resources. If you just go to our homepage and you just type in the search engine and you type in rhythm on our page there, you're going to get a ton of hits. So there's a lot there. We also have a bunch of free audios on homeschooling, inner work, the curriculum, hours and hours. I forget. I know in Thinking, Feeling, Willing we have over 50 hours. I'm not sure where we're at with with the public free stuff, I think we're easily at about 30 hours for free audios there. We also have a blog that's full of homeschooling, inner work curriculum advice as well. So don't be afraid to utilize that search button sort of on our homepage, because you'll get a lot of hits. And if there's something that you're looking for and you're not finding it, just drop me a note. I'm happy to sort of help you refine. If I wrote something about it, I'm happy to send you a link. So, utilize me if you've got questions. I'm absolutely happy to be there to help. And then with our courses, we have our Thinking, Feeling, Willing course, which is sort of our flagship course. We wrote that, I think it's almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years this summer, I think. And I wrote it because I was getting the same questions over and over and writing the same answers over and over. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to sort of have this course where everything is in one place that pertains to Waldorf, so that you feel confident in your homeschooling, you know how to do all the art, you get some mentoring. I wanted to provide something that wasn't there. And so I want to talk really quickly about sort of what our Thinking, Feeling, Willing program is. It is a full Waldorf homeschool teacher training. It is geared for the homeschooler. We have things in there that they wouldn't teach in a regular teacher training because they're not concerned with homeschoolers. I am concerned with homeschoolers. I am in your corner wanting to make sure that you are successful all the time. So, we've got training on all parts of Waldorf, from rhythm to temperaments to inner work to understanding the curriculum to painting, drawing, modeling, handwork. There's an insane amount of handwork in Thinking, Feeling, Willing. And I'm adding to that one all the time because my first love really is being a handwork teacher. And so I am doing a lot of handwork all the time and trying to include as much as I can. Think like rhythm, I said rhythm, temperaments, resources on how to teach, how do you get through that first day. And we are actually also going to be doing another day in the life of the Nielsen's. And we did one several years ago, and it was just funny because we sort of sped it up. And you can see the whole day in the life in about 90 seconds. But this time we're going to do it in segments, and sort of so you can see each part of our day, how we go through the main lesson, how that works. Just so, not so that you can carbon copy it, but so you can get an idea, because sometimes it's helpful to see somebody else do it, even if you're not going to do exactly that. So, definitely we want to be able to give you resources so that you can say, oh, well, I can see how that works, and I can see how I can turn that around to work for us. So, so that is coming hopefully soon. The school year is about to be over for the most part, so we're going to be doing that probably in the next couple of weeks. Also, the thing with Thinking, Feeling, Willing that I hear the most praise about is, the modules are really great, but the most praise I hear is about my mentoring. So, I am a life coach, and this helping people is what I love to do. When I had a stroke 2 years ago, I didn't get called awake. I had this experience, and maybe you can relate to it, maybe not, maybe you think I'm crazy, but so I had this experience where, I was basically in a coma for 30 hours, and I was awoken by this voice saying, Melissa, you've slept enough. It's time to get up. I have work for you to do. And I woke up and I opened my eyes, and there was nobody around me. So it wasn't a nurse, it wasn't a doctor. It was definitely, I feel, something from the divine. And when I was sitting in that hospital room, because I was there for 9 days, when I was sitting in the hospital room, all I could think about was what I needed to do. And what I needed to do is what I'm doing, mentoring. This is what I know I'm good at, and I know I can help you through your struggles. That's what I do. We have so many families that we work with. Gosh, hundreds of families every year, and thousands of families since we started this journey almost 10 years ago. So, utilize me. I have a lot of background and expertise. I work with a lot of single moms. I work with a lot of moms that are getting ready to go through a divorce, moms that are struggling spiritually, because all of these things, all of the things that I coach on will help you make your Waldorf journey easier and better. when we have angst inside, we can't be what we need to be for our kids. So that's really sort of what I feel like my calling has been, is to really be able to help families get to where they want to be. And that's where, when I started thinking Feeling Willing, I thought, well, these lessons are great, but they're nothing if I don't step in and say, I'm here to help you. So if you are a Thinking Feeling Willing member and you're not utilizing me, shame on you, because you paid me, utilize me. If you're not a Thinking Feeling Willing member yet, I want you to think about sending me a PM. We have a secret sale that's still going on, and is an amazing deal on our lifetime program. Amazing deal. So if you can imagine all of the training, all of our curriculum, everything on our website for life, and you'd like that, then please send me a PM and I'm happy to help you. I'll give you some of the information that we have. Plus, the first 5 new lifetime members we have, you will get free copies, free hard copies for life. Only for the first 5 that join with our lifetime program. But we also have a great monthly and annual program that includes everything except the curriculum for kids. So if you're just interested in, maybe you got your curriculum from somebody else and you really feel like you're on the right path with that, great. But if you really want the training and you want to understand those things better, then maybe our monthly or our annual Thinking Feeling Willing program is a better idea for you. The monthly and the annual both are just amazing pieces for you. They all have all 12 mom lessons, and they all come with some sort of mentoring. It's not as in-depth as the mentoring that I give for our lifetime members, but it's definitely, we have a lot of email work, and our annual members still get phone calls. So, I'm here to help you. We can get a ton done via email and PM if you just want to be a monthly member, because we'll take you. We're happy to help you no matter where you are, and no matter, sort of what your station is right now, whether you've been at this for a long time, because trust me, we have a lot of moms that have been at this for a long time. And then we have moms that just found Waldorf yesterday. So, it doesn't really matter where you are. I think you should not be, if you've been at this a while and you're like, that sounds good, but I don't know, I should know how to do this. Don't be hard on yourself, because like I said, we have several moms, like probably half the moms in our program have been at this a while, and it's not that they can't do it, it's just that they want a helping hand and they want somebody to walk it with them, and that's what I am. I definitely am a hand holder for as much as you need. So if you can handle me being a little bit bossy sometimes, then I'm your gal. We have another new program that's part of our lifetime membership, but it's also separate, and that's our Thrive program. That's our marriage course, and it's brand new, and Eric and I had so much fun putting it together, and we're just getting ready. The price is going to go up probably next week, because we're just getting ready to do a bigger worldwide launch of the Thrive program, because we really feel like it's something that really needs to get out there. So we really feel like Thrive makes great marriages amazing, good marriages great, and it helps struggling marriages sort of give them a chance. And we do that by just working with mom, working with dad, and then having the two of you work together. And if you're really committed to fixing some struggles that you have in your marriage, or making your marriage way awesome, then Thrive might be something for you. So if you're a lifetime member already and you haven't checked out Thrive, you should, because we have a lot of fun in Thrive. My husband and I had so much fun with it, and we are going to do a live video call at the end of the month. We usually do a Thrive call every month for our Thrive members, and we're going to make the Thrive call public this month, so that we can answer questions that families have as maybe you're thinking about Thrive and you're not quite sure yet. So we're gonna be doing that, and we're going to be talking about in the moment conflict resolution, because let me tell you, that just happens, and we've had some interesting experiences in the last few weeks. I sort of laugh because I'm always praying and meditating. Lord, please help me to be able to connect to the people that I work with better. And I think Eric's like, okay, you need to stop doing that. We've had some crazy experiences the last few weeks that I think probably would have sent most couples into a major fighting place. He lost his wallet. I lost my wallet. He got stuck in Mexico and had to pay a crazy amount of money to get home. There are things that would have just probably sent a lot of marriages to this really crazy place. And because we have the connection that we have, it was very easy for me to say, it's all good. It's okay. We're going to work through that, and don't beat yourself up. And that is a really hard thing for a lot of cholerics to say. So I feel like I'm still learning. I feel like I've come a long way from the cleric that I was, 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. So, definitely join us for that. And I'll put up a link for that page in the thread for this. And if you have questions, just send me a PM. But those are pretty much our programs. And like I said, we still have our secret sale going. And so, if you've got some needs, then drop me a PM, and I'm happy to send you the links for our secret sale. It is amazing, especially if you're looking to take advantage of our lifetime program. And so, that would be awesome to have you come and join us. So just send me a PM, drop me a note. Now I'm going to move on to holding the space, which I'm going to change to holding the peace. And as soon as I can get my brain wired right, I'm going to just start using holding the peace instead of holding the space. And if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the comments, because I can see the comments on the screen as we're talking. So holding the space and holding the peace are the same thing. So over the weekend, we went to this church meeting on Sunday night, and I was just sitting there minding my own business, trying to be in the space, trying to be present. And there was this quote that came across and it was holding his peace. And I know that was holding God's peace or holding Christ's peace. But then I couldn't find the quote anywhere else. And so I have to wonder, was that because immediately when I saw it, I thought, that's holding the space. And then I couldn't find it anywhere else. And I thought, I wonder if that's just there for me to pick up on that. But I want to really hone in on this idea of holding your peace. And that doesn't mean holding your tongue, and it doesn't mean keeping the peace. It means taking that concept of holding the space and seeing it as a peaceful concept. A concept that if you don't have peace, you're not going to be able to give peace. And so I think that when we're talking about holding the space, often we are overcomplicating it, and we're also not approaching it the right way. So, the concept of holding the space really means that you are energetically present. When you're energetically present, you are stopping fights before they happen, keeping kids out of, danger or trouble, not getting your house destroyed. All of those things that they come from being present. Also, you can bring your peace to that. If you bring it to them from a peaceful place, you don't have to say a word. You just are. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about sort of how do you find your peace? If you are listening to me going, oh crap, I thought I understood holding the space, but I don't know how to find my peace. This is really something that I want you to tune into. So I've got some notes here. So if I'm looking down, it's not because I don't want to look at the camera. I'm looking down because I've got some notes here. So one of the things that I think is really interesting and very important is to sort of check in with your temperament. And then that also leads then to inner work. Inner work is not just what I say, prayer and meditation. That is not just inner work. Inner work is going for a walk in nature. Inner work is getting quiet. Inner work is understanding your temperament. Inner work is spending some time alone. There are so many things that qualify as inner work. It is not just about prayer and meditation. It's about so many other things. So when I say check in with your temperament and your inner work, I'm talking about where do you find yourself in that space? A lot of people, I get a lot of emails I don't think I can figure out my temperament. That is going to take a lot more meditation on your part. Often, and if you're brave, and we have a relationship, a working relationship, and we've been working together for a while, and if you're brave and you don't know and you want me to tell you, I am almost always right. I was talking to a mom yesterday, and she was sort of giving me her rundown, thinking she was one. I said, I don't think so. I think you're this over here. She was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much more sense now. And so sometimes it takes somebody from the outside to give that. That's one reason why I really like because we've included the work on temperament in our Thrive program. So I think it's really important that husbands and wives sort of understand and they're on the same page with that one, because there are those markers in our temperament. Well, our personality sort of comes in and changes those things a bit, we are always going to fall into that temperament space. So Eric and I were just talking about this morning about comfort, because I'd been talking to another mom about how frustrated she is with her husband, and their marriage is really struggling, and she's frustrated because he won't effort. He says it's all too hard, or he doesn't have time, or all of it's too much for him. And I got to really thinking, I said, is he a phlegmatic? And she said, yes, I think he is. And that's really telling. A phlegmatic really wants to be in their own comfort zone. And as long as they're in their comfort zone and you're not going to force them out of their comfort zone, they're fine. They're going to coast along. They probably won't try to effort a whole lot. They're just going to do what they have to in order to then get back to their comfort zone. So I was sort of exploring this a little bit with my husband this morning. We were talking about people that get frazzled, and this would go for men or women. I think it ends up happening more with phlegmatic dads because they're not fully present all day long, where phlegmatic moms hopefully sort of figure out how to sort of navigate that. And if you're one of them and you're like, I can't navigate it, then let's talk, because really learning those navigation skills is going to help you with holding that space. So if you're phlegmatic and you get frazzled really easily, and you've got, let's just pick, like 4 kids under 5, and they're all busy and they're all loud, you have to come up with a coping mechanism so that you can parent them and they can feel your peace. And if they're not feeling your peace, they're going to be all kinds of crazy bouncing off the walls. If they can feel your peace, they might still be crazy, but it's going to come down a whole bunch of notches. So, looking at yourself and your own temperament will give you a lot of insight into how to parent. So I think if you are a phlegmatic parent and you really just want to sit on the couch and curl up and your kids are bouncing all crazy, get them to the park now. As soon as you're done listening to me, because they really need to run, and you really need to have that space where you're comfortable not correcting constantly. Because often what happens with the phlegmatic mom is they don't correct. So they're permissive, and then you had just too much, and then you yell. So Steiner called the phlegmatic the sleeping choleric. And so you have this like wave that comes and takes over. So, but that can be with anything. That's not just with, I've been fed up. It's also with, you might get really excited about a project, and so you're diving into this project. Or you might, get really excited about a book you're reading, and so you're diving into this book. So there's this wave. And so there are waves of time when you seem like you are super motivated, and then there are other times when you're just not. Your temperament's super watery. You just sort of want to be placid and chill out. But when you're a parent, rarely is that the case. Rarely are you able to do that. So you have to find coping mechanisms for you. One of the things that really helps Eric, because he's a phlegmatic, he takes the kids all day on Wednesday so that I can work. And one of the things that really helps him not feel frazzled is he makes sure that somewhere in their daily travels, they're at the park a good amount of the day. That sort of gives him this time to breathe. So often they're at the park maybe midway through the day, so that he's got some work done, and then he can feel it sort of building, and then they go to the park and the kids can run, and he can take a deep breath and sort of breathe out and get himself recentered. So if you're choleric and you're trying to figure out your peace, then you're going to have some different challenges ahead of you. For me as a choleric, I need to have a clean space. It drives me crazy if I don't. So if I'm going to be a truly peaceful person, then my house has to run in a good way. And that's just me. But it's actually a lot of cholerics. We sort of have this problem with being in charge all the time, or being in control. And a lot of it you can take with time and meditation. You can sort of step back, because so I'm a choleric and I live in a household with 2 phlegmatics, the third one that's off on a mission, a choleric daughter that's 5, and a sanguine melancholy daughter that's 15. My other son doesn't live in our house. So in order for me to not go to that crazy place, they all know that the house will get to a certain mess point, and I'll be like, okay, people, this is not okay. So keeping the house in that space of it being at my level of comfort is in everybody's interest to have me not be a crazy person. So, and it's in my own interest to keep the peace, to be able to spend enough time keeping the house in that space so that I am peaceful. So if you're a choleric and you are really looking for peace, then you have to find a way to tame your clutter. Whether it be getting a box and putting it in there and carting it off, or just actually going through it. That's really the more healthy thing to do. Go through the clutter. What's in there? Are there bills in there that need to be paid? Put them in a bill pile. Are there magazines you're not going to read? Put them in recycling. Going through those things and actually dealing with it, that will sort of bring you the peace that you need. Because for me, I am so happy when my house is clean. Like cleaning day, the end of cleaning day is so awesome because everything's clean, it smells good, the window's open. That's me, but that's my peace. And so but when I'm at that place, I can give my peace then to everybody else. I can't give it to them if I'm a raving lunatic because I'm irritated that there's stuff on the floor, or there's stuff that people left in the kitchen, or there's dishes in the sink that weren't my responsibility to do. So I have to sort of get to that place of peace. A sanguine might need to be able to have more variety. So a sanguine is going to probably be able to find her peace if she's not doing mundane things. So if chores are frustrating for you as a sanguine, then you're going to have to either knuckle down and get them done, or have enough variety in your chores. And the fly lady, I think, is great for sanguines because you're doing something little for 10 minutes and that's all you have to worry about. The fly lady didn't work for me because for me, I got into a project, I wanted to get it done. I didn't want to just come back to it in a few minutes. I didn't want to just do the 5-minute tidy up. I wanted the whole dang room clean. And so I definitely think that things like the Fly Lady are awesome, but I don't think they work for everybody. I also think that they probably work for the phlegmatic because it's just bits at a time. It works for the sanguine because, again, it's variety. So you're not doing the same thing over and over. So for the sanguine mom, finding your peace, I think that really when you're doing your school planning, you need to make sure that you're feeding your child's temperament and also your own when it comes to teaching. So really be thinking about what you're doing within the lessons so that you're staying up and you are, feeling like you're in a confident place. So is it that you need to make sure you learn all of the art pieces so that you can bring that to them and you can feel spontaneous in your drawing. Those are the sorts of things you should be thinking about if you if you're sanguine. If you're melancholy, you are really empathetic. And so for you, your peace is often coming from a place of having harmony and, being able to just be able to feel. And sometimes we feel too much. So being able to be in a place of serving is going to bring you more peace. And I'm not talking about serving your family. If you can do regular service for somebody else, or maybe you've got a church organization or a public organization, so you'll have to be careful not to be taken advantage of. But when you serve, that will help you with your inner peace because you'll be doing something for somebody else. Often when we're trying to serve our family, it's all fine and good, except for they don't often appreciate it, especially our kids. So they may appreciate it, but they don't understand how to articulate that. So, definitely be thinking about ways that you can bring that peace to yourself. So the other things, let's see, I'm looking at my notes again. Holding the peace for children means being energetically present. So you can't be on Facebook, you can't be behind a book, you can't be off doing chores without your kids. You can't be in those places and still be holding the peace. That doesn't mean you can't do chores. You just take your kids with you. Or if you've got bigger kids, you're all doing chores at the same time. Now I'm just going to give you a tip. As your kids get older, I couldn't have them fight. Somebody was crying coming out of the laundry room. So, and the same with dishes. So I just got to a place where I really split them up, especially for my older three, because my older three kids are 22 and 26 months apart. So they were all together all the time. And so it was easier if one person folded laundry, one person unloaded the dishwasher, one person swept floors, rather than sort of mixing them and mingling them together. That was never going to work. So if you're trying to hold the space and do chores, keep that in mind. Give each child, based on their temperament, something good to do. If you've got a choleric child, you put them in charge of something that they can feel like they have control over, like feeding the dog. Or making sure the cat litter box is cleaned out, or don't give them a job like sweeping the floors, because that's just going to frustrate them. Sweeping the floors is going to be all fine and good until somebody makes it dirty, and then they're going to be mad. So think about their temperament as you're sort of assigning chores. My son that's phlegmatic, my oldest, he did all of the laundry in the house for a lot of years because he loved the warmth of the laundry room. He loved opening the dryer and folding the warm clothes. And so it used to crack me up. He'd be in there and we almost never had any issues with the laundry being behind because he just loved being in there. My son Sam, he'll fold laundry with me if I'm in the laundry room. And he's phlegmatic. He loves that warmth. And so, sort of think about temperaments and chores when you're putting things together for kids. And I think that probably doing the dishes by hand would probably suck the soul of a sanguine child because that's just not what they want. They probably would be really good at sweeping the floor because they won't mind if somebody gets it dirty, they'll get to sweep it again. And it'll be a change in their pace and a change in their rhythm. So sort of keep that in mind when you think about chores and children and being energetically present with them. So when we do chores here on like major chores, we are all generally working at the same time. Everybody's got a job to do. And so for that means that somebody gets to do chores with a 5-year-old, and that can be sometimes fun and sometimes not so fun. But if I keep her engaged, because she's pretty choleric, if I put her in charge of something, then I'll say, I really need you to wash down this mirror. This would be really good. Or wash down the front of the stove for me. She'll go at it, and she'll go at that while I'm working on something else. So thinking about those sorts of things when you're being energetically present. Also, really think about your computer usage and what you're doing in front of your kids. We run a business, and so it's sort of in my face a lot because there are times that I have to step away and answer questions. And so I really try to make the school time, being the hours from about 9:30 to usually 2 o'clock, where I'm not checking in that often. And so that's really helpful because I've set myself some boundaries. I also turn off the ringer on my phone unless Eric's gone and he might need to get a hold of me. My ringer is off because I don't want to be distracted. I know the sanguine in me will totally go after every ding on my phone, every single one. And while that might be great for my customer service, it's not great for my kids and it's not great for me because of the choleric part of me. I would work all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I love what I do. And so it's not like work for me, but it is taking, if I'm not doing our schoolwork, then it's totally taking away from that. So think about your own usage. Turn off your phone during school times if you need to. Tuck it in your pocket. Put the charger in your bedroom and leave it on the charger. I'm just talking about things that we've done here to sort of help us really curb that. And sometimes, especially when you have bigger kids, you might need to have your computer or your phone or your tablet or something near you. And so I will have it near me, but really try to stay anchored. I try to do handwork during lesson time, especially when we're sitting around the table together, so that my hands are busy and I can stay connected with them. So if I'm just knitting something mindlessly, I can sit there and answer algebra questions and help times table questions and, give different advice and different things. So really sort of think about that when it comes to holding the piece, because you can't hold it if you're behind a book or behind a computer. And when I say behind a book, I'm not talking about light reading. I'm not talking about, I'm going to get some planning done while we're all sitting here. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about getting stuck in Harry Potter. getting stuck in the Divergent series, getting stuck in any book that takes you energetically away from what you're doing. So if you're just casually reading some things here and there, that's not a big deal. But when you are like engrossed in a book, you cannot hold the space that way. So save that for your early morning reading. Fun time. I was talking this morning about things that you can do to like motivate yourself to get out of bed. Put the book away at 9 o'clock. Go to sleep and get up at 5 all by yourself and read and have a good time. Do things that motivate you to sort of push yourself through. Think about your temperament and think about the things that you know will help you and that you know you need to do in order to keep yourself in check. Let's see. When I talk about keeping yourself in check, I'm talking about inner work again. Sleep. Sleep is so huge. So huge. Do not rob yourself of sleep. So again, I'm going to say it. I talked about it this morning. Go to bed so you can get up. Do not burn the candle at both ends if you don't have to. If you've got a young nursing one or a toddler that you're still struggling with at night, that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about those of you who don't have a reason to not be in bed and you are up and you're only getting 4 hours of sleep. It's not right and you are hurting your body. I spent a lot of years burning the candle at both ends, and I learned, don't learn the way I learned. I learned that my body could not handle that. So now I had to 8 hours. So if I don't take them until 9 o'clock at night, I'm going to really be struggling to get up at 5. So I know when I need to take them. For you really just need to just go, all right, I'm going to be a grown-up here, and I'm going to go to bed. Being a grown-up means that you get to make your own rules, but it also means, especially if you're a parent, that you show up and that you do the things that you need to do for your family and your kids. It means that you are prepared and you're ready for the day. That's what this path means. It means that you love them and you love yourself enough to get enough rest and to be energetically on. Also, make sure you eat right. Often, I feed everybody else really good, and then I get to the end of the day and I go, oh, what did I eat today? So you really have to be sort of mindful of what you're eating. If you have those problems, make sure that you've got snacks stored for yourself. And, we don't keep generally any crap in the house, like bad stuff, packaged stuff. So if we want something sweet, Eleanor's got to make it, or I'll go, dang it, I want some cookies. But really, we try not to keep that stuff in the house. And when there is stuff like Easter, hello Easter, when did it become the national candy holiday? But whenever it's something like that, then it's short-lived. So make sure that you're eating right and really feeding yourself as well as you're feeding them, because that will help you feel better. And then the other thing I want to say is get help if you need it. I think that the choleric moms and the sanguine moms probably most of the time aren't going to need it as much help. But if you lean on the melancholy or the phlegmatic side at all, then you probably need to be okay asking for help, because you're going to get, especially we talked about the phlegmatic moms getting frazzled easier, and the melancholy mom is going to be stressing a lot more. So if those are your temperaments, find ways to get help, whether it be maybe when your husband comes home at the end of the day, you leave for an hour to sort of recharge yourself, or maybe there's somebody that you can trade with, a friend that you can trade with, trade babysitting with. And if trading babysitting doesn't work, like if you've got a choleric friend that'd be happy to watch your kids, but you just can't take on all of her kids, ask her if you can do something else for her. Can I cook you a meal if you watch my kids? Can I pay you if you watch my kids? Finding ways to sort of work around your temperament when it comes to getting help, I think is super important. And to not see it as a weakness, just see it as it is. I think that, and I know for me, for a long time I was really down on melancholics because I had really unhealthy ones in my life. And it took me a lot of prayer and meditation to really get myself to a place where I was like, wait a minute, they have something that I struggle with. They have a lot more empathy than I do. And that's something I'm really trying to develop. So in trying to develop that, I learned this love for them that I didn't think I had. And so really try thinking about those things in your temperament when you're sort of looking at, being down on yourself, because you shouldn't be. And if you're choleric and you're afraid you're mean all the time, channel that meanness channel that aggression into having a good time, because I aggressively have fun, like a lot of fun. Just ask my friends. A lot of fun. But if I didn't take the time to say that that's who I want to be a fun person, then it would be very easy for me to always be work oriented, or always be driven, or always be angry. And I just know that that's just not where I want to be. So let's see. That's keeping yourself in check. The other thing I want to really stress is keep on top of your rhythm. And, if you're listening and you're new to this rhythm concept, or you're really frustrated and you haven't done the rhythm roundup, do the rhythm roundup. Talked about it in the beginning. Do the rhythm roundup. It's in the free courses section on our site. And feel free to ask me questions. That's why I'm here. The rhythm roundup, I really feel like, is the last rhythm course you're ever going to take. It is not centered around, we're going to paint this day, we're going to bake this day. No. It is centered around teaching you how to put those things in place where they need to be for you. Not because some Waldorf preschool does it this way. Not because a consultant does it this way. Because you need to do it for you and how it works for your family. And you're not going to know that if you're trying to always copy somebody else. So we really work on helping you step back and see all of the pieces and all of the places that you can do it for your family, because we're all different. The things that I do in my house, you may do some of the things that are very, very close to what I do, but it's going to look totally different. I think about some of the moms that I work with, and we have the same temperament. It's still going to look way different because we're just different people. So I really work on helping you to figure out your own formula, your own way of doing things. And so when I talk about rhythm, that's what I'm talking about. So if your rhythm looks way weirder than most people's, as long as it's yours, and as long as you stick to it, it's a good rhythm. As long as it's working for you, it's a good rhythm. So when you get off of your rhythm and you're sort of having this freak out moment, just focus on those anchor points. Sleep, eat. Those are the things that you really need to focus on, especially when you have young children. Because one of the things that I've realized over the years, and gosh, it probably took me way longer to realize it than I should have, is when my rhythm is off, and I'm not paying attention to those anchor points, and my kids are freaking out because I've not held the space right like I should, it's usually because there's some overs involved. Either they're overtired, overstimulated, overhungry. So if you've got kids that are freaking out and you're trying to get those anchor points in place, you've got to think about those things. You've got to think about their little bodies and the fact that they need more snacks than I could possibly ever purchase in one grocery trip. But have something on hand all the time. So, and I start with probably, because you want to be careful not to talk too much. The 3s and 4s, definitely the 2s aren't going to tell you that they're hungry. They're just going to act out. So you have to go, oh, when was the last time this child ate? Or when was the last time they nursed? Grab them, nurse them, get them placated in that way. If you've got a 3 and 4, often they're going to be able to maybe tell you that they're hungry. They might be aggressive. And if they're aggressive, then you, again, have to step back and say, when was the last time they ate? My almost 5-year-old will just tell me, I am really hungry. And that is something that's just happened in the last 6 months. So, really being able to tune into that. And I listen to her. When she says I'm really hungry, I'm like, oh dear, I better get some food in you because you're not going to be nice if I don't. The same goes for sleep. We're often like running, and we're not really paying attention to their sleep and the quality of their sleep. So if you've got a child that's still getting up a few times at night, I really want you to think about why. There are so many things about sleep that are so important. And if you've got a child that is getting up for no apparent reason, you can't figure out what's going on, then really try to figure those things out. Maybe it takes a sleep study. Maybe you're looking at some homeopathics or some herbs or some oils, something that will help you decode that. And decoding that is not always fun. I've got 5 kids. All of them presented with different issues, and not all of them have slept really well. Some of them have really struggled with sleep, and we've had to work on different things through the years. But lack of sleep leads to grouchiness, leads to depression, leads to food issues. There are so many things that sleep governs that we really, really need to be careful and make sure that we are really protecting that sleep, not just for ourselves, but for them. And so if you are like sleep deprived and exhausted, you might need to have a real rubber meets the road conversation with your partner and say, I need some sleep. I need you to take this baby, and I don't care if this baby is going to cry for the next 20 minutes. I need to sleep. It is okay. And really sort of working on that relationship so that you feel like you're both in the same place and you're both sort of understanding each other. Get the help that you need so that you aren't having a breakdown. It's not any fun to have a breakdown. I've watched it. It's not any fun. You want to sort of get it before that happens. So let's see. I'm going to answer one of the questions here. Somebody says, I'm dying getting up early. My oldest won't let me sleep even for 20 minutes in the afternoon without getting into a disaster. If I go to bed when I'm tired, then I don't see my husband help. So, I sort of talked about this in another group the other day. What I would do is I would 3 days a week go to bed with your kid. So you are well rested. You know, I got up at 4 this morning so that I could do the first live broadcast. I usually am up between 5 and 5:30, but I will purposefully go to bed every few nights with Soraya because she goes to bed usually by 8:15. She's asleep. So even though we go to bed at 7, it's usually by 8:15 she's out. Because if I'm in her bed, there's something about snuggling up with a little person, you'll go to sleep. And then it will anchor me, and I will then pop my eyes open at 4 or 5 and go, okay, I've had enough sleep now. I'm getting up. But she doesn't usually get up. Sometimes she does. Like this morning she followed me right out of bed into my bed because I was in her bed, and she snuggled up with her dad and slept for a little bit longer. But she was still up, like seriously 5 minutes after the broadcast was done this morning. So, really work on you getting the sleep you need. Then I would take those other 2 nights. If you're going to bed with your children, between 7 and 8, 3 nights a week, and getting that good chunk in, then you can spend a couple of other nights with your husband, and you don't feel like you're such a zombie the next day because you've had, 2 or 3 nights of good sleep. So intersperse it. And I don't think that it's not a good long-term solution, because long-term you should really get a good 8 hours where possible, 7 to 8 for sure. Some people really think they need 10. I'm not so sure about that. But really getting into a good sleep rhythm is important. And so, I would work on, like I said, a few nights go to bed with your kids, and then a few nights stay up late with your husband. And when I say late, I'm not talking about 1 in the morning. I'm not talking even about midnight. I'm talking about 11. And because you could survive if you did 11 to 5, or 11 to 6. And then have a little bit of time in the morning by yourself. But long term, you really want to get into a better sleep rhythm. So let's see, I'm answering some more questions here. Long term, he will be more obedient than I can get in a nap. Yes, I understand. He said he's at the red ant stage. Yeah, I get it. I've been there. I look at, so my child number 2, my Jacob, who I love dearly, oh my gosh, there were many days when I didn't think I would survive being his mother to get him to an adult. And here he's 17. He may not do everything that I think he should, but he's his own man, and he's a good man, good young man. And I really didn't think I would survive. But yes, it's a snapshot in time. So if you can get through maybe the next 6 months, it'll get better. And sometimes this month is better. So at each step, you're sort of like looking at how far you've come, not where you're at. I rarely go, I'm still in this place. I try to go, this has gotten better since last month, or this has gotten worse since last month. We've regressed a little bit. Let's figure out what we're doing and sort of move forward. But definitely you're not looking at this as a long-term solution. I think long-term would ideally be you would get a good chunk of sleep before midnight, because that is really important. That sleep before midnight counts as double. And I know people say to me all the time, that's crazy. It's not crazy. just look at the body charts on sleep and what your body's doing before midnight up until about 4 a.m. Look at what they are doing, what your organs are doing for restoring. And that Steiner said stuff like that like 100 years ago, before people actually wrote about it or had it on the internet or anything like that. So looking at those things, plus I'm reading this great book right now called Sleep by Audrey McCallum, and she wrote The Extra Lesson, so it's deeply anthroposophical, and she has a lot of things to say about sleep. And I'm going to finish that book, and then I'm going to do some reviews on it, because I think there's some really important things in that book. But anyway, that's just my bit on sleep. And, I'm really passionate about sleep because a lot of people go, man, she can't possibly know. Listen, I was married for 13 years to a man who didn't give two wits about whether or not my needs were met. And I was sleep deprived a lot. I had a tandem nurse, a toddler, and a newborn, and I got no rest, and it about killed me. And it wasn't until I was divorced and my kids were gone for a few days at a time that I was like, wait a minute, this sleep thing is really important, and I could really own it. And so when I remarried, I married a night owl. Phlegmatics tend to be night owls. They don't want to get up early in the morning. They want to stay up all night long. And so I married a night owl, but he and I have figured out ways to really sort of work on that together. He knows he's in a much better place if he goes to bed when he should go to bed than he is if he stays up until 1 in the morning. So he rarely does that anymore, and it's because we both know how we feel the next day. We like each other more when we can spend time together, and we can really have that alone time that we can foster if we're up early in the morning before kids are. And sometimes you do stay up late at night. Like I said this morning, dang that Netflix. When they have a Netflix show, they put all 13 episodes up at the same time, and that is not helping my sleep. So last night I went to bed with Soraya because I knew if I went to bed with Eric, I'd be watching Kimmy Schmidt until 1 o'clock in the morning, and I don't want to do that. So, you have to sort of have that will, and, building your will is like super important on this journey, not just in a Waldorf journey, but in parenting as a whole. So, okay, I'm going to get back to my notes here because we are almost done. So, another thing that you can do to hold your peace is save the adult conversation for later. Do not have those adult conversations in front of your kids. We were just the other day having a conversation that didn't feel like it was, too deep and too adult. The bigger kids were off doing something, and it was just Soraya sitting at the table, and she was coloring, and Eric and I were talking about something a little bit stressful. We were talking about taking the car in and how much money was it going to cost and all of that, and she immediately felt our energy leave, and she started acting up, and we couldn't get a word in edgewise. Lesson: don't have conversations like that in front of your kids. When at all possible, if your husband's at work all day, write things down in an email. But then, if it's a stressful topic, make sure you lace in there, I love you, this is probably not coming across how I need it to, or here's some things I want to talk about tonight and I don't want to forget about it. Send him an email, send yourself an email so you don't forget, set in a reminder on your phone. All of that. I have somebody asking, how do you have an adult conversation when you have little time with your spouse without your children? Well, often, if you can get a date, get a date. Find a sitter that you trust. And I talk about this a lot too, because one of the things I find is supremely important in a relationship is alone time. And I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about alone time to sort of be able to think and talk without being interrupted constantly. So if you've not found a sitter that you can rely on, I would start putting your prayer and intention for that right now, today. And really start looking around. And I'm not saying you have to lower your standards, but, a lot of people say to me, well, I can't let them go to my mom's house because all they do is watch TV. So, I know that that's not a Waldorf thing, but what I would say is, well, why don't you send some movies over that are okay? Or give your mom a list of things that you're okay with, rather than just telling her no TV. Because that's not going to happen. Your mom can't cope the same way that you can cope. So, don't turn away good help just because we're having the whole TV discussion. Look for ways that you can, make sure that you do that. If it's an issue that they're feeding them crap, then make sure that you send your own snacks over. I'll go, these are really great. They love these. So I thought I would send some over just so you had things that they loved over here. You can be tactful about things like that. When it comes to a sitter, you're paying them, so you get to make the rules. And I would be super clear about what your rules are. But definitely try to find time alone. When it comes to having adult conversation, maybe you don't have time for a sitter, or you can't get a break, then we have those conversations first thing in the morning before everybody's up. We also have a pantry in our kitchen. And when everybody's sitting at the table, I will go into the pantry and bring my husband in there and shut the door, and we'll have a quick conversation if we need to. We find ways to really work on sort of having that communication be open. And again, I'll send a text and say, I'm just sending this to you so we can talk about it later. Or here's some thoughts, and I want to talk about it later. And that can be super helpful because then it's on his mind and he's thinking about it, and it's not a discussion that we have to have right there in front of kids. I think it's really important because once you sort of involve them in that adult conversation, it's really hard to sort of back off from